And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of Debates. I'm your host, Dibo, and no need to drag the introduction along. We got a big episode, a lot of great things to talk about. Luka to LA, 80 to Dallas, also the De'Aaron Fox trade. Those two will be our main segments for today. And alongside that, at the very end, I'm going to talk about the Golden State Warriors and their quest to get another star to pair alongside Steph Curry ahead of this week's trade deadline. Wow. It again is very stacked, very loaded. Before I'd like to get in, make sure to like this video, drop a comment, share your thoughts down below, and also to subscribe to our YouTube while following our IG and TikTok platforms at Lunch and Debates for both of those. And that's all. Excuse me. And that's it for me. So again, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about Luka to LA. I dropped a reel when it first came out, but for this segment, I'm going to give a more in-depth analysis on the whole ordeal, give more of my thoughts that I want to touch on. Talking about the trade details, I'm gonna say it again if you already don't know. In the trade, the Lakers get obviously Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris. The Dallas Mavericks get Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and the Lakers 2029 first round pick. And the Utah Jazz in this three-team trade get Jalen Hurts from the Lakers, as well as the Clippers and Mavericks second round picks this year. Wow. Let's start off with the Mavs first in this trade. I want to talk about the Mavericks side of this deal. And you can't talk about Luka getting traded without mentioning the main mastermind behind this trade, and that's their GM and Nico Harrison. And as I reflect on this trade hour by hour and keep reading up on sources from reporters talking about what went down in this trade, the press conference too involving Harrison himself and the Mavericks head coach J Kidd as well. I watched that too. And the more I think about it, I just get more and more mad at Nico. And let me start off by saying this. For Mavs fans, I'm so sorry. I am completely sorry. This is the darkest moment in Dallas Mavericks history. Worse than the '06 finals, worse than the 1990s where they were winning 10 games a season. This is the darkest moment in Mavs history. I understand Luka's conditioning problems. They talked to him about that over the past couple of years now. But at the same time, I'd rather have the organization figured out with Luka, keep it moving throughout these next few years. Talk to personal chefs, fitness trainers on the whole problem and try to keep his weight down. I'd rather have you go through that, giving him an extension, and keep going with the Luka Doncic era than trading him to the Lakers. And I understand they got AD from the trade, but AD is going to turn 33 in the next month. He's going to be 33 years old this year. Luka is turning or is already 26, heading into his prime years of his career. You just cannot do that. You look at other teams across the NBA with their superstar players. Ja, he had multiple problems in one summer or in like the span of 3 months. They haven't traded him yet. the Celtics, Tatum and Brown both had their stinkers over the years. They haven't traded both of them, and they were in trade talks, especially with Jaylen Brown. The Bucks, Giannis was in trade talks around the bubble. They still kept it moving. They didn't trade him. SGA was in trade talks. There were rumors of him being traded when the Thunder were taking. They didn't trade him, and look at him now. You do not do that when you have a superstar talent, especially when one, he's as generational as he is on the offensive end, one of the greatest offensive players we've ever seen, and two, he didn't request a trade in the first place. He wanted to stay in Dallas. The man was crying when he found out he got traded. And you did him dirty like that. When over the past years, you made all these moves to surround Luka with weapons. You put all of your faith and trust in Luka to take you to the promised land and eventually win you a chip. Yet, out of the blue, you fucked up your long-term future for what? For what? I understand they got AD. But again, it is Luka Doncic we were talking about. He is levels above AD, weight problems or not. And you basically gave away a generational talent like Luka Doncic to the Lakers for free. What is that? What was the point of being so aggressive at the trade deadline last year to get PJ Washington, to get Daniel Gafford? What was the point? What was the point of getting Derek Lively in last year's draft to get a lob threat and a rim protecting big to support Luka? What was the point of getting Klay Thompson and Najee Marshall, two stationary shooters to surround Luka? What was the point on all these moves when you were going to trade your franchise talent out of the blue? It makes no sense to me. And Nico Harrison, I swear, the dude is an absolute clown. He should be the most clowned on GM in NBA history. Billy King, move over. That's done. Nico Harrison, and I believe in Nico Harrison too. I've came on this podcast praising Nico Harrison over the past year, talking about the aggressive moves he's made, and making the Mavs a better team. But doing this, basically spitting in the face of every single Mavs fan, no, you can't do that. And I was shocked that Jason Kidd had so much restraint like he did during that press conference. I thought he would have choked him out. I thought he would have smacked him upside the back of the head. He should have done that because that was plain stupidity. You don't do that. You don't do that at all. And to only talk to one team in the Lakers, where initially Pelinka, sorry about that. Initially, they were going to ask for multiple first, but Rob Pelinka, as a counter offer, he said that, I'm very worried about Luka's conditioning. I'm very worried about Luka's health. Let's just only trade one in this deal. For you to let Rob Pelinka off the hook like that, for you to let him take such a big ass layup is so inexcusable and unacceptable as a GM. Nico Harrison should never take another front office job ever again when he gets fired by the Dallas Mavericks. And that's inevitable. That is super inevitable. I know that the Mavs are still a good team on paper with AD coming to the mix, but they're not a contender. They're not a serious contender. I'm sorry. You putting your fate of winning a championship in Kyrie Irving's hands as the main play initiator, inexcusable, unacceptable. And I'm a Kyrie guy, even as a Celtics fan. I like Kyrie Irving, but no, you are not winning anything serious if Kyrie Irving is your main play initiator. That has never worked throughout his entire career. His early years in Cleveland, I understand they're very talent deficient, but Kyrie never really elevated that team. They were bad every year. LeBron comes in. Obviously, he was the main facilitator. They win a chip. Okay. Kyrie gets traded to Boston. He becomes the main facilitator there. But with Boston, they were stacked with talent. They were loaded with talent. young and old. But when it came down to the playoffs against the Bucks, he had arguably the worst series of his career. Completely flamed down in 5 games to Milwaukee. Move on to Brooklyn. James Harden was the main initiator. But when Harden left, when Kyrie took on that role, the Nets plummeted. In the first round against Boston, Kyrie was bad in that series too. So you trade away Luka, and I know they got AD back. AD's elite. He's an elite player, top 10, borderline. But you are seriously gonna put trust in this Mavs team with Kyrie Irving now being the guy that has to facilitate and the guy that has to initiate plays. Where there is a clear history of Kyrie failing at that over and over and over again. It's just dumb. It's stupid, plain and simple. Why would you do that? That makes no sense to me. Zero, none. I'm still pissed. Not Mavericks fan, but I'm still very pissed. So dumb, so foolish, so stupid, so dumb. And I like to mention the Lakers part of the trade once again. Before I move on to De'Aaron Fox, they completely won. Rob Pelinka, I have to give my props. It was a layup, but you took the layup. I know AD sacrificed a lot for this organization. Won a chip in the bubble, sacrificed his body year in year out. But for you to get in a generational talent like Luka, who can be the next franchise guy in LA when LeBron eventually retires, it's a no-brainer move. Right now, as I see it, if the Lakers team stays put, which I don't think it'll stay put before Thursday's over, I don't see them winning anything serious just because of the weird fit between Luka, Braun, and Reeves too. All three being very ball dominant. The lack of rim protection too. The lack of a quality five in general. Jackson Hayes, maybe Dorian Finney-Smith minutes at the five. That's not moving me at all. But when it comes down to it, long term, only having to give up one first for Luka Doncic is absolutely insane. You take that 100 times out of 100, no brainer. Still blows my mind. I couldn't believe it. I was on 2K. I was on 2K Saturday night, and I know my phone to start blowing up. I look at the text in the group chat. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was fake. I thought it was like Centel that people were sending in the group chat. But no, I went on Twitter. Sean was posting it. Chris Haynes was posting it too, and I was just like, nah, no way, no way. Nico was that stupid. No way, Nico was that dumb to pull this off. No way, no way. So dumb, so completely dumb. All right, let's move on to De'Aaron Fox heading to the Spurs. When Fox requested that he wanted to be in San Antonio, it was a no-brainer that he be in his position, but still surprising to say the least. Quick rundown of the trade details. The Spurs get De'Aaron Fox, Jordan McLaughlin. The Kings get Zach LaVine, CD Sissoko, 3 first-round picks, one being the Charlotte Hornets pick this year. The Spurs 2027 first-round pick, and the Minnesota Timberwolves 2031 first-round pick. And then they also got 3 seconds in the deal. 2025 Bulls second round pick, 28 the Denver Nuggets second round pick, and then get their own second round pick back in 2028. For the Chicago Bulls, they get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter from the Kings, and their own 2025 first round pick from San Antonio. So, with that being said, let's talk about the Spurs first. They didn't give up Keldon Johnson, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, nor Jeremy Sohan in this deal. 4 young assets in this trade, and they still remain on the Spurs. And for you to get a star guard like De'Aaron Fox, I understand his shooting has taken a dip from last year. Defensively, he's been poor as well. But for De'Aaron Fox, again, a star point guard who can facilitate, one of the best shot creators in the league on the perimeter, one of the best clutch players. We've seen that. For you to pair him alongside Wemby, a generational prospect, it's an absolute steal. Absolute steal. We've seen what Wemby can do already since he first stepped into the league. The kid is special, and we've seen him take an even broader step with consistent playmaking, even with a 40-year-old Chris Paul. Shout out to CP3. He's still getting it done, but at the same time, CP3 is still aging. He's damn near 40 years old. So for you to get a long-term star corner corner piece in De'Aaron Fox, the pair alongside Wemby to get that duel in while also keeping all of your main young assets. It's a generational masterclass from their front office. And for the Spurs, with this move, I can definitely see them making a push for the playing spot, one of those playing spots, the remainder of the season. Absolutely, well done from San Antonio. Now, for the next two teams in this trade, I'm going to be a lot more harsh. So let's start off with the Sacramento Kings. Yay! They got Zach Levine and DeMar DeRozan together on the team. They basically made the same roster as the Chicago Bulls over the past couple seasons. Yay! Borderline playing success for the next 2-3 years. And when him, DeRozan, and Sabonis eventually leave, we're gonna be trash again and go back to square one. Yay! So happy, man. The Kings are so inept. They only got one valuable first round pick, potentially in the 31 Timberwolves pick in this deal. No young assets for De'Aaron Fox. This, 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 this is why bad teams always stay bad, because of dumb moves like this. Let's go back to 2020 season. They got both Fox and Hallie on the same team, Tyrese Halliburton. Eventually, the year after, Halliburton gets traded for DeMontis Sabonis. I didn't like the move. I don't like it even more now since Fox is basically gone. So you drafted two guards on the same team. Both Hallie and Fox weren't the same fit. So eventually, you were gonna trade either one of them. You trade Hallie for Sabonis, and then a year after, you you have the most successful team you've ever had since the early 2000s with Mike Bibby and Chris Webber, those stacked teams. You lose in the first round of Golden State in 7 games. Still a successful season, but the next year you're basically running back with the same roster. And you go to the next season in the much better in a much better West with a lot more cohesive teams, a lot healthier teams too. You fall back down to the play-in, and you lose to the Golden State Warriors. And then fast forward to the next year, you get DeMar DeRozan, which I'd never liked that move at all. I didn't like the fit. I thought it was a pretty mediocre move, but they had to do something because they didn't do anything the year prior. So to be competitive, to remain competitive in the West, you had to bring someone in. And DeMar DeRozan, that was their easiest bet. And, and now you move ahead to February 2025. Your head coach that won coach of the year, Mike Brown, he's gone. And the best player on your team in De'Aaron Fox, he's gone as well too, to another team. So now you're basically stuck with an even worse team even with Zach-LaVine coming in. You got a lot older, barely any young assets on this team. And it looks like if you keep going down this path, you're going to be back where you once were for the past decade now. And that's being complete trash. They once had Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox on the same team. And over the past 5 years, all they had to show for it was one playoff appearance in a weak West, having a ton of injury-prone teams, and they lost to a lower-seeded team. Complete damn shame. Complete shame. Now, the last team I'm going to talk about is the Chicago Bulls. And let me start by saying this. They traded DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, and Zach-LaVine. And they didn't get not one first-round pick for them. All three quality players, not one first-round pick. LaVine, Vucevic, DeRozan, all on the same team. We clearly knew that they weren't going to work out. That they were going to inevitably be, excuse me, fumbling on my words, that they were going to be a playing team with the current core that they have. And they still stuck with it, with Billy Donovan being their head coach for season after season. And they have nothing to show for it. No playoff success. Barely any young assets in return. Barely any high quality picks. Just plain nothing. What was the point? I'm serious. What was the point of keeping all those guys together? It was a waste of everybody's time. Complete waste. You were trying to sell to the fans what was a mediocre product, and when you decided to trade all of those guys when it was completely too late, all their values were low. You got no high quality pieces to build for the long-term future. Again, with what we are seeing from the Kings and the Bulls during this whole trade deadline and for the past couple years, we are seeing how bad teams always stay bad. That's the honest truth. Complete damn shame. All right. For the last segment, we are going to talk about rumors of the Golden State Warriors seeking another star to pair alongside Steph Curry. And I got a quote from Shams. He went on the Pat McAfee show earlier this morning saying this, and I quote, "The Warriors are legitimately calling about every all-star player. Just name the all-star player. LeBron, players like Kevin Durant, players like Jimmy Butler." End quote. And to add on that as well, I'm seeing reporters say they're trying to get Giannis and possibly LaMelo in a trade. So this is just pure desperation from Golden State at this point. And it's just so funny looking at how they've ran their team over the past couple years. Keeping guys like Podes, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody on the team for so long, just dwindling their value year after year. And ultimately, at the very last minute, where we clearly know that the Warriors are not going to be a contender with this team, Steph still being the great that he is declining little by little as the months go on. This just reeks of pure desperation. and it just speaks on how incompetent the Warriors have been the past couple seasons since they won the chip. So, for sure. And it's just delusional that this front office thinks that they can get any all-star player, any high quality piece to be within this roster for trading, I'm sorry, but mediocre pieces like Kuminga, Podes, and Moses Moody. That makes no sense to me. The trade should have been done when their value was high. Yet they've still remained on the roster. They haven't gotten better. And because of that, the Warriors are now stuck in limbo. Jordan Poole could have been a nice piece, but one of the vets, one of the leaders on this Golden State team, and Draymond Green, he ran him out of town, punched him in his face, made a whole documentary about it, keeps bringing it up to the media, and they ran him out of town. And now Jordan Poole is hooping with the Wizards right now, even though the Wizards are complete trash. I'm sorry, but winning 4 games when we're in early February is unacceptable. But I digress from that. The Warriors are stuck. There's nothing they can do. And for Steph Curry, he is in the same scenario as Kobe Bryant was during his last years with the LA Lakers. Fading away, talent wise, on a completely mediocre team with mediocre young assets, basically. And I want to say this about Steph. I have no issue towards him as a player, nor as a person at all. But he is at fault. He is at fault for having the Warriors team being this way as it is right now. Not putting his foot down enough. Not telling Draymond to tone it down to keep all his nonsense away. Not telling the front office to being more aggressive when it comes to acquiring more talent to compete for championships. I'm so sorry, but I'm just seeing it for what it is. Steph Curry should be partially blamed for why the Warriors are at where they are right now. And it sucks to say this because Steph has been a class act his entire career. He's obviously going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the most influential, probably the most influential basketball player we've ever seen. But the Warriors being where they are right now is partially due to Steph Curry's fault and him not being aggressive and him not speaking out towards his Warriors organization to take more charge and be more aggressive. LeBron's done that throughout his entire career. Kobe did that throughout his career. MJ did that. All the greats have done it. At some point, you have to be aggressive. You have to be mean. You don't have to be Mr. Nice Guy all the time. At some point, you have to put your foot down and say, hey, this is not working. This is not right. We are a winning organization. We need to win chips. We need to be competitive and consistently be amongst the elite teams year in, year out. We have to make the sacrifices. And they haven't done that. And because of that, they will be a mediocre team for the next few years with Steph Curry being amongst this roster. And they are going to continue to be mediocre once Steph leaves, once Draymond leaves, and once Steve Kerr stops coaching the team. That's how I see it. But that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys think down below. Make sure to drop a like, follow the YouTube channel, also follow our other social media platforms on Instagram and TikTok, both with the handle at Lunch and Debates. This is a super fun episode to record. I'm going to most likely be recording this Thursday to recap the entire trade deadline. If there's gonna be any more major moves, gonna state my winners and losers from the trade deadline as well. Obviously, I'm going to be in the studio as well to record, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, man, peace. Hope you have a great day. And yeah, man, I'm signing out.